The haunted bridal doll, Elizabeth. What if the most innocent thing in your home, a doll, dressed in white lace, smiling softly from behind a glass case, was watching you? What if that smile wasn't carved by an artist's hand, but by something far darker, something that wanted to be noticed, wanted to be remembered, and wanted to be free? Tonight, we begin the story of one of the most unsettling haunted artifacts ever documented in the last decade. A doll known as Elizabeth. But beware, once you know her story, you might never look at dolls the same way again. Haunted dolls aren't a new idea. From Robert the Doll to Annabelle, stories of cursed toys have chilled us for generations. But Elizabeth isn't a legend of the past, she belongs to the modern era. She was not found in an abandoned house, or pulled out from beneath centuries of dust. Instead, she appeared suddenly, innocently, in a small antique shop in rural Pennsylvania around 2016. Her porcelain face, delicate bridal gown, and glassy blue eyes drew in buyers who admired her vintage beauty. But within weeks, strange reports began to surround her presence. Customers described feeling uneasy near her. Employees claimed they heard faint whispers when locking up at night. And worst of all, the doll seemed to change position inside her display case, when no one had touched her. At first, people dismissed it as paranoia. But soon, her reputation grew so disturbing that the shop owner decided to remove her from the store floor. And that's where the nightmare truly began. The doll's origins. Elizabeth's creation remains a mystery. There are no official manufacturing records, no clear company branding on her porcelain skin. Some say she was crafted in the 1940s, based on her lace bridal gown and hand-painted details. But according to whispers from locals, she came from an estate sale of a woman who had died tragically on her wedding day. Her name, coincidentally, or perhaps not, was also Elizabeth. The antique shop owner, curious about her strange pull, bought the doll along with other artifacts. But unlike the others, Elizabeth seemed to carry an energy, a heaviness, that made even seasoned collectors uneasy. Early paranormal activity. The first real encounter came one stormy night in 2017. The shop's security alarm was triggered. When the owner rushed inside, nothing appeared disturbed, except for the case holding Elizabeth. The glass door was cracked open. The CCTV cameras offered something even stranger. In the footage, Elizabeth's head appeared to shift slightly, her eyes following the lens before the feed cut to static. Employees began refusing to work the late shift alone. One clerk swore she heard the sound of a woman softly crying from the storage room where Elizabeth was kept. When she investigated, the crying stopped, but the doll was lying on its side, its glassy eyes now facing directly toward the door. The bridal curse. The haunting grew darker when a young couple entered the store one afternoon. They admired Elizabeth's bridal gown, laughing about it being perfect for their wedding decor. Within days of joking about her, tragedy struck. Their wedding venue caught fire the week before the ceremony. Though no one was injured, the loss was devastating. Word spread fast, Elizabeth was cursed. And she didn't like jokes. Visitors who mocked her began reporting nightmares, dreams of a pale woman in a ruined wedding dress, staring at them from the foot of their bed. Others claimed to wake with scratch marks across their arms after simply touching the glass of her case. The antique shop owner finally made a desperate choice. Elizabeth was donated to a local paranormal investigator, who agreed to document her activity. But removing her from the shop didn't solve the problem. It only made it worse. The story didn't end with her removal from the antique shop. In fact, it had only just begun. The paranormal investigation. In 2018, Elizabeth was transferred into the care of a small paranormal research group in Pennsylvania. Their goal was simple: test whether the doll carried residual energy, or if the reports were fueled only by fear and superstition. They set up motion sensors, EVP recorders, and thermal cameras inside a controlled environment. On the very first night, one of the investigators asked aloud, "Elizabeth, can you show us you're here?" The EVP recorder captured a chilling whisper, faint, but undeniable. The word was, "here." Skeptics in the group argued it was interference. But when they played the clip on loop, the female voice was unmistakable. And worse, it didn't match anyone in the team. Escalating encounters. As the weeks went on, activity around Elizabeth grew violent. Objects moved. Books and candles near her display were found knocked over. Shadows seen. One investigator claimed he saw the shadow of a woman in a gown pass across the room, even though Elizabeth hadn't moved. Unexplainable injuries. Another reported waking up with deep scratches on his chest after staying overnight near her case. But the most terrifying moment came during a live stream in 2019, when the group allowed the public to watch Elizabeth in real time. Thousands tuned in, and at exactly 3:12 a.m., viewers swore they saw Elizabeth's lips move, forming words that microphones didn't capture. The chat exploded with panic. Some swore she mouthed, "Don't forget me." The bride in the dreams. Soon after, those who only watched her online began reporting strange dreams. One woman emailed the investigators saying she dreamt of standing at an altar, waiting for a groom who never appeared. At the end of the aisle stood Elizabeth, not as a doll, but as a full-sized woman, her face pale, her dress torn and blood-stained. She woke up in tears, her pillow soaked with what looked like streaks of soot. This wasn't the only report. Dozens of people claimed Elizabeth visited them in dreams, always in a wedding dress, always unfinished, always watching. Skeptics step in. Not everyone believed. Local skeptics dismissed the story, claiming it was a mix of suggestibility and folklore. But one professor of psychology who visited Elizabeth privately admitted something unsettling. "I don't believe in spirits. But when I looked into her eyes, I felt watched, evaluated. That wasn't porcelain. That was presence." Even the skeptics couldn't fully explain the growing evidence. The final experiment. In late 2020, the investigators tried one final test. They placed Elizabeth inside a sealed case, surrounded by salt, iron nails, and protective charms, traditional methods to contain negative energy. For the first 3 nights, nothing happened. No movement. No whispers. No shadows. But on the fourth night, every camera in the room failed simultaneously. When the team rushed in, they found the salt circles scattered and the case door slightly ajar. Inside, Elizabeth's porcelain face had changed. Her painted smile was gone, faded, cracked, replaced by what looked like a frown. The team swore they never touched her. Yet her expression was unmistakably altered. From that day forward, Elizabeth was locked away in a private collection, never shown to the public again. So who, or what, is Elizabeth? Is she truly the restless spirit of a bride who died too soon? Or is she something darker, a parasitic entity using her porcelain shell as a vessel? We may never know the full truth. But one thing is certain. Elizabeth is not just a doll. She is a story that continues to haunt anyone who dares to speak her name. And maybe, just maybe, tonight she will appear in your dreams too. This has been another chilling story brought to you by The Boogeyman. Where nightmares are real, and legends are alive. If you dare to uncover more true horror stories, make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Because this is only the beginning.